Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Jordan, who is only 20 years old and making $45,000 a year in a fully remote paid ads role. Jordan was in college studying animation when he realized that he was going to go into debt and not likely get a job because it's very difficult to get a job as an animator and also to pay off all that student debt. So he took my course while he was in school. He ended up dropping out. He got an entry-level job, and then he switched from SEO to PPC. And now he's very, very happy. He's only 20. He doesn't have any student loan debt. He makes a good salary. It's just the beginning of his career. And I think his entire journey is going to be very inspiring to you guys. I'm very excited to share it with you. Thanks for being here, Jordan.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So why don't you tell people about your current job that you have right now?
Yes, so currently I'm a junior paid ads manager. I currently work in with Facebook ads. I work at an online agency. We primarily work with med spas, and so the aesthetic industry and Botox industry. I currently manage about 15 accounts right now. The head person handles the rest. We have about a total of 90 clients right now. We're about to get a couple more in this past couple weeks, but I really enjoy the job and I'm looking forward to learning in this position since it's a junior role. So I'm really looking forward to growing in the role.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you're already handling 15 accounts with a few, you told me a few $1,000s. I mean, you're handling like 5, 6 figures a month in ad spend, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So that's amazing, especially at 20 years old. Junior position, you're learning a lot. In my course, I focus on Google Ads and SEO, but we also do teach meta ads, and I have had a lot of students, meta or Facebook ads, and I've had a lot of students get jobs in that position. So, what is it you like about the job? I'm just curious. People, sometimes we speak, abstractly about digital marketing. What do you like about doing meta ads?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, especially these last 3 weeks, I'm able to right now, what I mostly do is we make tweaks to the accounts for each client. So whether we keep track of the how the results are doing for the campaigns. And so we, when it's a campaign's not doing very well, or if something is doing well, we just make little tweaks. So it could be simple as adding a creative or an image to an ad, or just maybe switching out certain creatives or images for to help the account do better. And I really like how when making those small changes, it makes a big effect on the account and the client sees that. And so just being able to make changes to an account and see the effects of those changes, it's really cool to kind of see that your skill set is actually making a big difference for these different businesses.
That's awesome, man. That is a big thing. I know before we dive into your whole journey, I like to point that out. A lot of people wonder, like, why do people love these digital marketing jobs so much? It's very different than saying an office job where you're just sitting there doing spreadsheets all day. I've done that, or like data entry. The things you do actually impact the client, and especially in paid ad, it's very fast. Like literally, you make a change based on your strategic ideas. Next day you see more people signing up for your client is happy, and I think having an impact and as you said, making a difference is really, it's a really fulfilling thing in the workplace. Yeah, and it's awesome, man. It's awesome you're starting so early. So yeah, and what's it like working fully remote? What is that like?
Uh, you get to wake up, you don't have to worry about commuting in my car. So I usually do get up early, but it's just not having to worry about rushing out the house to go anywhere. We work from, it's also a flexible schedule. So we work from about 9 to 3, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So they're very flexible with the hours. And we're even in a remote environment, we're still able to communicate from where they're at, and we're able to there's a lot of different at my agency. There's a lot of people from around the world, different parts of the world, not just the U.S. So we have a lot of different diversity in our agency, and so I think working in a remote environment is just it's just very convenient, and it also shows that you can have a good with people even in a remote environment. It doesn't have to be in person all the time.
Absolutely, man. I mean, some people have different opinions about this. I still think remote work in this field, maybe there might be other fields where it's not a good idea, but I think in digital marketing in particular, people do love remote or at least hybrid roles. You're given a certain amount of autonomy and responsibility. You get that flexibility, but they also are very good at creating a culture of connection via Zoom and via meetings and via, I'm assuming things like Slack. So you do feel that connection, even
Yes.
though you are remote, and you still get that flexibility. So again, this is all really amazing, especially at 20 years old. So let's get into how you got into this job in the first place. So why don't you take us back to like what was going on in your life when you first found my course, and what kind of inspired you to look for something, maybe a different path than the path you were on, which I believe was college.
Yes, so I remember, yes, I remember the exact day I found the course. It was during my winter break during my first semester of college. I didn't have the best year per se, but I think the biggest stressor for me was the epiphany that I was not going to take my classes I wanted to take till my junior or senior year, and that I was going to get into all these loan debts during my junior or senior year. And then even if I were to get the degree, how am I going to get a job? Because it's very hard actually to get in the animation industry, even with a degree. And so just thinking about all that and how, ooh, how am I going to pay my bills and how am I going to pay for my car and all these things? I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to make money? And so that I was freaking out pretty much. And so I was just randomly on YouTube about that same day, just looking, and I popped up Shane's hummus videos just popped up on my feed. I was like, oh, digital marketing, you can remote from home work. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? It's very interesting. So I just clicked on his video. He introduced me to your course. I was kind of hooked right away just because I'm like, I don't need a degree to do this, and I could start learning right away instead of wasting 40, 50, $60,000. And so I was like, I'm all in. So I took that second semester to just work. I just worked different, I worked at the college and like the dining hall and whatnot to make money to pay for the course. Once I finished my first year, I said, okay, I'm gonna focus on this course. I'm not going back to college. And so I dropped out. And so I just worked different jobs and just kept on grinding through the course, getting the experience, doing the spreadsheets, doing the audits, getting my own clients, building the website, eventually landed some internships to gain some more experience, and then eventually started applying, getting different interviews, which is a big learning process. But eventually, after you keep on interviewing and learning what the interview was kind of looking for, I was able to eventually land my first job as an SEO specialist at an in-house company. I was unfortunately, well, I won't even say unfortunately, I got let go from the role eventually, but even that whole journey gave me the confidence like, oh, I can do it. So I know I can do it again. And so eventually only took about, with that, all that experience, all that knowledge, I was able to get a job in 2 months again. And so now I'm right back in the mix, and it's a junior role. And so they're really looking to train me up, and they're excited to have me on. And I'm excited for the opportunities at my current role. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, man. Very well said. Yeah, you guys, I love also seeing young people, again, when you start taking responsibility and initiative for your own education, going on job interviews, working in the workforce at a younger age, you come off more mature. Like I wouldn't have guessed you're 20. And that's real advantage, because again, I think the longer you stay in school, sitting in a classroom, falling asleep in the back of the class, worrying about grades, people do that till they're 20, 3 years old, it delays your maturity. So I think again, you're in a great position. And also just going back, you said a lot. Going back to what you said about animation, which by the way, man, I would encourage you to keep pursuing animation. Just the smart way is to do it online, learn online. I've taken animation courses, I've done some
Yeah.
animation. I'm not even an artist. So you can do a lot now, especially with AI and everything. But the thing about these colleges, it's so mind-blowing, guys. He would have stayed in school right now. He would have not taken a single animation course for 2 or 3 years. He's taken all these nonsense liberal arts classes and taking like French history or whatever, these topics that again, back in the day, 50, 20, 30 years ago or 100 years ago, yes, the college was the only way to learn about history or the sciences or the arts. Now you can learn all that stuff online, but he would have been going into debt and he doesn't take a single relevant course to his major until the end. And that is a lot of majors, guys. And then, of course, I think it's really brilliant that you started to worry about money. You said you had these crises. This is amazing. Every high school student should have this crisis when they're 16 or 17, because unfortunately, it's sad that our culture is set up where the people in charge, where you're supposed to trust them and they're supposed to be looking out for you, they're going to be telling you to take out those student loans. And it's really terrible. You know, they won't tell you about the interest rates. They won't tell you about how hard it is to pay them back. They won't tell you about the job market. So you did a great job by taking that initiative and dropping out eventually when you saw a path to success. And then you were saying that, yeah, again, this speaks to a lot of my students and people that might be, yeah, you were working, something you're working and going to school for a while, right? Then you dropped out and then you were just working. And where did you work while you were working on the course? You were doing like part-time jobs?
Yeah, I'll do part-time jobs, whether it's at a bakery, at the mall, at a grocery store, whatnot, just anything, just to get some income coming in at the time. But at the same time, I was working on the course, working on getting, the different experience through the, like you said, the Generate Your Experience course, like the spreadsheet, the audit, getting my own clients, building my own WordPress website to do PPC and SEO. So I was just making sure to even have some income coming in, but also make sure I put time in the course to eventually land my first job.
I muted myself. Yeah, that's how it goes, guys. And the time frame is, again, depending on life experience. It took him months to do this. But think about what he's dealing with. He's dealing with dropping out of school. He's dealing with supporting himself. So he's got to work these jobs. It sounds like you had multiple jobs. And then you have to have the energy and time to focus on the course. And you did all that. So of course, it's going to take time. And then the process was learning the skills, applying the skills, generating the experience. And it sounds like you got an internship. So it took you a few months to get through that process. Then you're in the application process. Now, you're 20 years old. It sounds like you've had jobs before, but mostly jobs, you said, working in a bakery or working at the mall. Now you're applying for these technical positions. So what was it like interviewing for the first time for these positions? Like, do you remember any specific examples? Was it easy from the beginning? Was it challenging? Tell us about that process.
Yeah, so for me, I don't really have a problem with talking with people. Like I'm not antisocial. Like I'm fine with talking to people on camera in person. I think the biggest learning process in the interviewing is kind of what are the interviewers really asking? Like, what are they really looking for just like as simple as, tell me about yourself. If in the course you learn, Seth teaches how to answer this question. But, in the beginning, you're like, well, what do they want me to tell me about myself, about like who I am, about like where I came from or whatnot. But over time, as you keep on interviewing, you kind of learn like the language that they're speaking when they're asking you questions, like, oh, they're looking for this. Oh, when they ask this, they're looking for that. So it's kind of like a game in a sense, like it's a certain game of the type of questions that they're asking. And over time, most of the questions they ask for each interview are fairly the same, especially the basic stuff, or even in a specific niche, whether you're in SEO or PPC, the questions usually tend to be the same. And so you kind of pick up like, okay, now I know what they're looking for the next interview. And you're gonna eventually, if you do all the experience in the course, if you do everything Seth says, you're gonna get interviews. Like these people are looking for people that know digital marketing. All the jobs, nearly half of the jobs I applied for, by the way, required a college degree. And I don't have a degree. And so they were looking, I would apply for jobs that said they required a degree and I don't have a degree. And so even my first job that I got said it required a degree and I don't have a degree and they gave me the job. And so to circle back with the interviews, you just learn the language over time. So that's the biggest learning process in interviews, just what are they really asking? That's what you're really learning.
That's a really good insight. And I think I would say, I mean, based on the way that you're occurring when we're talking is that, some people I think like get nervous. When I was younger, I get nervous in job interviews. And I think even if you don't have that confidence, normally when you're talking to people, just doing interviews again and again, you do get more confident. Some people need to go through the first few where you bomb. I've bombed interviews. I think I was going to tell a story of how I went to an interview once. I remember they asked me to name like 5 strengths and 5 weaknesses. And I don't know what happened, but I did my 5 strengths and then I did like 20 weaknesses. Like I couldn't stop listing my weaknesses in the interview. And it was one of those things, if it was like an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm or like a TV show or a comedy, you'd be like, it's cringe. It was cringe, I guess we would say it. And people have that in interviews. People get nervous, whether you're in the course or not. It's totally normal, man. It's like, this is the closest thing most people get to doing like stand-up comedy or acting. You're in a performance mode with other people. It triggers a lot out of normal nervous feelings, but it's great, that you went through that process. You sounds like you're already pretty confident, but you did need to learn kind of the nuances of it. I'm telling you, it is true. It's like you go on a few interviews, by the third or fourth, you're much more confident. In what you're saying. And then I wanted to speak to, you mentioned, so you did get hired, and it sounds like, what were you, like 19 when you got that SEO job?
Yeah, I was no, I was 20. What was I 20? No, I was still 20. Yeah, I turned 20 a couple months after I got my first job still. But the job was very impressed. I was the youngest person well, even at my agency, I'm still the youngest employee, but yeah, I was the youngest person there. And they're very impressed with the skills I acquired in such, at a young age. And so,
So let's dig into this for a second. I get this question, and I think this is a normal concern to have. What I try to do is like demystify this idea of like, now obviously, when you're starting a new career path like this, people are nervous about their performance. Like, okay, I get hired, am I going to be able to do the job? Now, most agencies are, in my experience, is like what you're at right now, which is where you're getting a lot of training and support. This first job, you said you worked there for 3 or 4 months, and then you were let go. So what was the reason they gave? What was the experience like working there? What was that? What happened?
yeah, so the first job I got, it was an in-house job. So they weren't an agency. So they primarily they sold like business magazines and articles, and they're kind of an old school company. And so they kind of started to realize they needed some new school marketing in their sense. So they were looking for an SEO guy, and so they hired me. I did tell them that I'm not like, I don't have 10 years of experience because I believe on the job description it had like, oh, 4 years required per se. But I told them I don't have 4 years, but I do have this. I've done audits, I've worked with clients to help people. And in the beginning they did like that. Like they really liked how they were impressed with my experience. But over time, I guess I didn't really have a bad experience, but I guess over time I just realized that we want someone with a bit more experience to kind of in this role, and so I got let go. And obviously doesn't feel good, but I wasn't mad. I wasn't super mad about it. I was like, okay, it would have been nice that you told me in the beginning, but it is what it is. But at an agency, I do think overall when you work at an agency, they're a lot more giving in the learning process because they're really looking to teach new people, digital marketers these skills. And so, like in this position in particular, they said we want someone who's young and hungry and knows the basics of digital marketing. So when they found me and they saw my experience, they're like, "Yes, it doesn't. What you have is great, but we'll train you." Like from the ground up, like you didn't even know Facebook ads or anything in the first place. And so I'm like, cool, sounds good to me. And so, yeah, I think agencies definitely are a lot more lenient. And again, the first job I had, there was very old school. Like there was no other people that knew SEO or digital marketing at that place. So I was the only SEO guy. And so they didn't really know SEO. So the current place I have, it's an agency. So that's all we do. So.
Right. That's really good to clarify that for a bunch of things I want to touch on. Because I have had a couple of students, express that concern, and I really love your attitude about it. You didn't take it personally, and it's good to hear the details of the situation. It's not like you couldn't handle the job or anything like that. It sounds like it was a unique situation. I've worked at companies like that too. In-house, guys, if you're wondering, so in-house means it's a private company that it's just their business. He's only working on one website or one product. Whereas at an agency, it's like you got a ton of marketers around you working on multiple accounts, which usually means you're going to get more support because you got a lot of experienced people who are there, and there's a lot of training involved because they want to get people up to speed because they want you to perform in your job. But in this case, you were the only SEO person at 20 and you told them you had limited experience. And yeah, now you're kind of dealing with, I know that old school, there's still a lot of businesses like this where like they don't, probably everyone there is a lot older, they don't know anything about digital, and they'll hire the person that has some knowledge, which is amazing that you got hired in the first place. The other thing about SEO that's interesting is that I wonder if it had been a PPC role. PPC, you see results very, very fast. It could be within a week, it could be within a couple months. SEO takes time. So I imagine that had a factor to play in it. But the important takeaway, I think, is that you kept, positive attitude. You knew that it was good experience, and you moved on to the next position. And I think for anybody that's ever had anything like this is important to be aware of as well. The other thing I wanted to mention, I almost forgot, was that you said that almost every job posting said degree required. And you got a ton of interviews, even though you don't have a college degree. Now, I'm just curious, did it ever come up in the interviews or in the conversations? Like, hey, we'd love to interview you or hire you, but you don't have a degree?
No, the only time was one job I applied for that said, "Oh, you don't have a degree, so we like your experience, but we'd like to move forward." But every interview I've ever gotten, they've never asked about my degree. The only questions I've gotten asked about it is like, "We like how you don't have a degree. Why didn't you tell us about your experience not going to college and why you chose not to, you know, take the traditional route?" But I was never asked like, why don't you I was never asked like, oh, you don't have a degree, so we can't. I've never ever. So
That's
they don't
awesome.
care.
They don't care, guys. And I just did a live stream and I did my walkthrough videos, and you hear me say this over and over again for years. And I just love getting the validation to hear that from someone who's been in the trenches. In fact, I like the way you said that. They seem impressed that you didn't get a degree, that you took a non-traditional route. In fact, guys, I would encourage you to, you're going to be marketers, use copywriting, reframe. If you've dropped out of college or decided not to go to college, maybe 10, 20 years ago, that was like, oh, you're a failure. You didn't, go to college. Now you're non-traditional. You're taking a unique and innovative career path. There's a lot more people doing it, and they're associating you with the entrepreneurs, the people who are thinking ahead. And especially, I mean, look at this dude. Any of these younger students of mine, 20 years old in his first job in PPC or his second job already. And in a year, he's going to be making more money. In 3 years, he's going to be a supervisor. And he's going to be interviewing people who just come out of college with no idea. So the business world has clued into this, that the degree is meaningless. And as he said, nobody asked about it. If you have a degree, if you've already gone through college, no problem. Be happy about it and, put it at the bottom of your resume. But if you're watching this and you're like in that stressful situation like he was, please understand this. Watch hundreds of my interviews. You're going to hear it again and again, guys. The mainstream ideas about college are BS. They're BS. This is the way to go. Employers care about your skill sets. So that's awesome. And so now what, just to kind of, just wrap up what we were talking about the first place versus the second place. It sounds like at the first job, you didn't get too much support. You were kind of the only person doing it. What's it like in this current job in terms of support? I mean, are you like going to your supervisor with questions all the time? Are you meeting with them multiple times a day? What's that like?
Yeah, so the head person, he's the senior paid ads manager. He just takes me through the ropes like the first day or so. He's like, "Oh, come jump on this client call with me. I'm about to do, make some tweaks to the accounts. Come watch me make tweaks to the accounts." He has videos of already pre-recorded videos of, basics of Facebook ads and how he goes about setting up campaigns and making optimizations to different accounts. And, a lot of the different clients have been at this agency for a long time already. So he kind of built relationships already with them. So he kind of tells you the ins and outs of like, oh, this account usually is like this. And so we try to do that, or this is like this. And so it's very, very personal, kind of like this, like it's very personal with the training with the Facebook ads. So no, I kind of, it's almost like one-on-one training. It's like almost like you're getting a one-on-one free consultation like every single day, except you're getting paid. And then eventually you kind of, you're learning on the job. And I already have accounts now in my third week now, managing different accounts. And so yeah, it's very, very personal, very upfront with the training and learning. Like it's not theory like in college, like all this theory. Like no, you're learning on the job, and he's taking you through the different clients and stuff like right then and there. You learn right away.
That's awesome, man. And I was thinking, like, yeah, again, you're getting a mentorship and you're getting paid. That's what I tell people about these jobs. I was just curious, when you applied to this job, um, just be a little more detail, like, did you apply through LinkedIn or Indeed? And then, like, how did that interview process go with this particular job that you ended up getting?
Yeah, so I applied on LinkedIn, and I think the biggest thing, if I had to give any advice for like LinkedIn at least, is read the whole job description. Because in this job description in particular, I took advantage of the people not reading, because at the end of the job description, it said to email the hiring manager and to include your favorite song in the email so you know that you actually read the job description. And so I emailed, I sent them my favorite song, and I also contacted the hiring manager. And about that same day, the hiring manager texted me. They texted me and said, "Hey, really, we want to talk to you immediately for an interview. So what's a good time?" And so then with the interview process, it was very smooth per se, just because again they were really looking for a junior person, and I had good interviews with all with the HR, with the senior paid as manager and the CEO. And again, they really liked how I didn't go to college and that I learned, not the non-traditional way. They really like that. And so yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're looking those type of go-getter minds. And so we really want to bring you on. And so my biggest, yeah, paying attention to the job description, very important. That's how you separate yourself from a lot of other applicants. And so, yeah, the interview process was very smooth since they really liked how I didn't go to college. So it was really cool.
That sounds cool. And that's a great piece of advice. I mean, that's what do you hear me say in these walkthrough videos again and again? The applicants you're competing with are not as good as you. And a lot of people, you're right, do not read the entire job posting. They click easy apply, they bulk apply. I guarantee it's so funny how fast you heard back from them too. I've done the same thing when I post gigs on Upwork. You kind of have to do that because you'll get automated proposals. So you'll say, like, put this word in the description, like pink elephant or something like that. And you'll be blown away because people, will send you some stock thing that's just like, hi, I'd like this job, blah, blah, blah. And you realize they never read anything. This happens all the time, guys. It's so simple. It's like read the whole position posting. And then of course you contacted, like I always say, contact the hiring manager through other, through email, through their website, through LinkedIn, and not through Easy Apply, not just through Easy Apply. Easy Apply is okay, but you want to it's so easy to click that easy apply button. That's why I think it's not that, anybody can do that. I mean, a bot can do that. So the way you did it was the right way. They liked your experience. They liked that you didn't go to college. And it sounds like everything is working out. How did it feel when you got the offer letter, or was it a phone call? How did that go?
Yeah, so it was good. No, it felt really good, but also weird. Not really. I expected it, because also that wasn't the only offer letter I got. I actually got two offers in about the span of 2 days. I got an offer from another agency. It was a hybrid role near me for a digital marketing coordinator. That was in primarily going to be in Google Ads. I got an offer for them, and so I was able to leverage that offer to the one I have now. I'll just let them know, hey, I got an offer, but I'm interested in this position. And so that's kind of how they zoomed me through the interview process like very quickly, because they really wanted me. And so they ended up making me an offer about the next day since I told them that. And so I accepted that job immediately because I really liked the culture and how they were really impressed with me not going to college. And so I really like how that they did, they valued my go they said my go-getter mindset and my experiences. So yeah, so I was happy to get the offer, but I think over time, once you get the experience and get do everything in the course, you kind of and get all the interviews, you have a feeling when you're going to get the job. Because like, yeah, I know the nuances. I know I have the experience. I know what they're looking for. It's just a matter of time for someone to, hear all this and be like, yeah, this is a good fit for our company. So it's really good.
That's awesome, man. You got the right attitude, guys. This is the attitude to have. I love it. You're confident about it. That's what I always say, guys. The key is to know it's going to happen. You just don't know when. This is an attitude in life and anything. Is what I've had success. Is that the hardest thing in life or in applying for a job is if you see a job and you're like, I have to have this job. It has to be this job. And if I don't get this job, I'm going to be really upset. Well, that might be not be the job. People get very attached. If you're unattached and you're just like, you know what, it could be this job, it could be the 10th job. But I'm relaxed because I know it's going to happen. It seems like you had that attitude. And then I didn't know you got another job offer. That's hilarious. You didn't mention that. So that's really the thing. This guy's 20 years old, no college degree. He got let go from his previous position. He gets 2 job offers and he leverages one against the other. And I tell you guys, that's what you want to do, by the way, when you're interviewing. And you don't have, this is the great thing about digital marketing. You don't have to be some, scheming salesperson to leverage. You don't have to be like a negotiator. He's just honest. Like, well, this other company offered me a job. I want to work for you, but what are you going to do for me? That's it. It's very simple. You don't have to be manipulative or anything. It's honestly just very honest. So that's awesome, dude. The one last thing I want to ask you, I know we've been talking for a little while here. It's been great chatting with you. What does your family think about this whole thing you're doing? Because like, you dropped out of college, you took this online course, it took you a few months to get the job. What did your parents or your family think about all this?
Yeah, so I'll say when I first brought it up, I wouldn't say they were upset, but they were like, this is, again, it's non-traditional. Like, it's not normal per se for you to drop out of school and take an online course. And, so it's very non-traditional. So, but my dad was pretty supportive. He's like, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm gonna support you doing it. And as long as you work hard, I just hope I just want you to work hard at it and just, be resilient to get what you want. And so that's what I did. So my parents were, for the most part, pretty supportive. Again, when I first brought it up, it was kind of like this is very interesting. But overall, they were pretty supportive. But even most of the time, I don't think it's a big deal. Like if anyone's worried about their parents or family members not supporting them through with their decision. I think just all these testimonials are just proof that it works and that there's we're actual people that took the course and that it's an actual pathway to success and something that you want to do. And so I think just overall, as long as you're confident in yourself and you do everything in the course, like you get all the experience and you're just confident in the interviews, you're eventually going to land a job. Like it's almost impossible, especially again, I got some experience in the job market the last couple of years and just interviewing and seeing how they're really looking for people and that they're struggling to find people coming out of again, I don't have a degree again, so they're really looking for people with any idea on how to do the skill sets of PPC and SEO. And so I think really it shouldn't be a big deal because that there's a pathway to success. So this is another pathway to success outside of college and it works.
Well said, my friend. Well said. And I'm just curious, basically, it sounds like your parents were pretty supportive, which is awesome. It's great. But when you did get hired, like this last job that you got right now, how do they feel about that? How do they feel about you getting this job at age 20, working remotely, all that?
No, they thought it was pretty cool, especially after I told them I got two offers. That was a big thing. That's not, especially after getting let go from a job, from that to having two agencies really wanting you for a job. And so they thought that was pretty cool. And it's kind of, they have a 20-year-old who's already in the workforce and has experience interviewing and working in professional environments. So they think it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story with people. It's very inspiring. Is it cool if people reach out to you on LinkedIn if they have any questions?
Absolutely, absolutely. I get questions now, just from people already in the course and in the Facebook group. And so, no, I get plenty of questions. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. If you want, any legitimacy of the course or anything. It's real and it works 100%. It works.
Awesome, man. Well, usually I would ask people like if they have anything else they want to say. You said it. You said so many things so well. But I will ask you, yeah, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
If you're thinking about getting the course, if you're thinking about is this a good buy? It's a good buy. This is a Seth is teaching you a skill set on digital marketing. He teaches you the basic foundational skills to start, getting your own clients, to speak in the language that hiring managers are looking for, so that they're impressed to, eventually bring you onto a job, especially at agencies. Agencies are desperately looking for young minds to train and to learn the basic skill sets of Google Ads, SEO, Facebook, Meta, all that. So they're desperately looking for young minds who are willing to take risk, and take risk and learn a skill set that they may not be familiar with. And so, no, I think if you're thinking about it, you should do it. This is a good investment, and you won't go into debt. So
That is true. That is very well said. And that is that's actually, I never really thought about. That's true. It's true. You said less than an iPhone, man. Still, I never raised the price in the last 4 years, but it's true. And I'm so happy for you, not only for your success in your career, but the fact that you took the initiative to get out of college, man. I mean, I can't stress enough how debilitating student loans are in your 20s. I mean, it's just I know I repeat this a lot, but you got to hear this if you're doing it. Starting your professional career in life, or coming out of college with 50,000, 60,000. Oh my God, these debt loads. It just saps your energy and your finances. Imagine you're trying to put together your rent, you're trying to put together your car payments, and then you got the student loan payment every month, and you're going to pay that. Some people pay it off for 20 years. And I just can't stress enough how debilitating that is. And nobody talks about it. So the fact that you don't have that debt and you're 20 and you're earning money, and you're just beginning, you're in a really great position. You guys are going to be, I want to keep in touch and see where you are. We'll, do another interview in a year, and I'll be excited to see where you are. Again, thanks for sharing your story and your advice with people, and let's stay in touch.
sounds good. No, thank you. It's much appreciated. Thank you for the course. It really helped me give direction to where I wanted to go in the future. So I'm really appreciative for the course and all that you've done. So it's much appreciated.
You're very, very welcome. And I appreciate that, man. I'm proud of you. Good work. Let's stay in touch and we'll talk again.
Will do.